You're listening to Cash and Sass. I'm Lisa Marie, your go-to gal for all things money. As the Sassy Wealth Queen and the brains behind the Sassy Wealth Coach, I'm here to take you on a thrilling ride from the financial chaos to sassy and sexy money. Hey, my sassy friend. Welcome to another episode of Cash and Sass. I'm Lisa Marie, the Sassy Wealth Queen, the brains behind the Sassy Wealth Coach. And today my guest is Drewbie Wilson. Drewbie is a loving husband and a father who pushes himself to live in excellence so he can set an example for those around him. At one point in his life, he weighed over 300 pounds before getting focused on his health and losing more than 100 pounds without fad diets or weight loss drugs. An action taker with his finger on the pulse who focuses on service to others above all else, leading him to produce more than 7 figures in revenue no matter what industry he has worked in. Not one to turn away from a challenge, he looks to get out of his comfort zone as much as possible. From tech support in a software startup to vice president of a multi-million-dollar consulting company, he understands what it means to start at the bottom and work his way to the top. A servant first, operating with utmost integrity and humility, but not afraid to tell it like it is. I love that. Confidence and empathy are his superpowers. By going all in on every area of his life, he strives to inspire success-driven winners to become the most elite version of themselves. And what I love most is his motto that he lives by: crush the day before it crushes you. I'm seriously going to put that in a frame somewhere, and it's going to be like, nobody else will be able to see it, but I'm going to be able to see it. And I also love your hat. I actually went and looked at your stuff before we got on the show, or before we were recording today. Call the damn leads, which my coach would probably go, yes, 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 yes. So I absolutely love it. But crush the day before it crushes you is like, it's as good as, that's 2 quotes today, or 2 things that people live by. And the person that I recorded with earlier, she said she goes by, what she helps people do is dance through the fear to get to the life they want to live. And I'm like, I love that. Dance through the fear is just stuck with me. So, and crush the day before it crushes you is another one. So I absolutely love those. I'm going to steal both of them and just have them like framed up on my wall. Welcome. Thank you so much for being a guest on my show. We're of course going to have candid conversations about money. That's what I'm all about. I love virtually or physically kicking the money taboo to the curb, because I think it's time that we have these conversations. So I want to jump off and start with when I asked you what one of your biggest money mistakes were and what did you learn, the answer was not feeling worthy of having it. And then when you got it, you got rid of it quickly, so that way you wouldn't feel responsible for losing it. Can you kind of go into that?
Yeah. So, growing up, and first of all, let me just say this. Thank you for having me, and thank you to the listener for hanging out with us today. I know investing your time is a valuable resource, so we're going to get into that a little bit further. But when it comes back to really getting into that mindset of like deserving money, not deserving money, I grew up single mom. I had 2 brothers. My dad was in and out. She was doing her best to raise us, by herself. She worked nights, went to school full time during the day. And I don't know, it was just one of those things that I always recognized this pattern in our life where we'd be doing well. We'd have things going on. Maybe my dad would be in the picture and we'd get these new material items. We'd get like a dirt bike or a toy or an Xbox or whatever. And then it would just seem like there would always inevitably be some sort of issue that would pop up. And then we'd have to sell the dirt bikes or sell the toys or get rid of the things because we had bills to pay. And it just was always this weird pattern that I recognized in my life. Even as I got older, it was like whenever we had money, we were always looking for ways to get rid of it. And it wasn't because it was like we didn't want the money. It was just that it was for some weird unconscious reason, we kind of just was like, okay, well, we have it. We should go spend it because we don't know if something could pop up and take it from us. So let's just get rid of it. That way it's gone. And then we don't have to worry about something popping up because like we're going to beat the curse before it gets to us, which is an absolutely insane way to operate in life. And especially when it comes to money, but it's not only myself that has that pattern. As I've worked with entrepreneurs and business owners, especially in the last few years where there was just massive cash infusion, so many people had that same system and process happen in their life. They got it, and suddenly they're like, okay, well, I have it. Now I'm responsible for making it and returning it. So like, I'm going to go and spend it as quick as possible and invest it in all these things. And they didn't really treat it the way that they should have, like they earned it. And so they just got rid of it. And like, that was one thing for me, especially over time, is I had to realize if I've worked to earn it and it's there, I don't have to get rid of it. I can utilize it in a way that I'd like to. And it's still a challenge to this day. And even, again, working with a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, it's a mindset that we're constantly fighting through of like, hey, if it's there, you don't have to go and spend it immediately. Let's be strategic about where we're going to spend it. So that we can actually utilize it in a way that's valuable for the long term, not just to get that immediate gratification.
Oh, I talk about that all the time. The importance of it being aligned with your core values and your goals and being mindful and being strategic. Like, great, you were just paid $10,000. That doesn't mean you have to immediately go invest all of it. Let's look at where it would purposefully do its best to not only help you grow, but me telling my clients, also pay yourself, because yes, we need to put the money back into the business. And if you're not paying yourself something, whether it's just a little bit to start or not, you start feeling resentful. And I think it's important that you know your numbers well enough, you know what's going on with your money well enough so that you can be strategic. What's one of the things that you did to be able to, even if it's continuously, because it's something I continuously work on as well, but it's the reason why I also have my mini savings accounts. I love, I call them virtual buckets, but I have these mini savings accounts for specific things. And I literally divvy up my money where I decided I want it to go. But what's one of the things that you've done to help you shift that mindset to where you're not getting rid of it as quickly as you've gotten it? Because again, you run 7-figure businesses and you're very successful.
Thank you. I will receive that compliment. Again, that's success is a perspective. So this is one of the things I'll lean right into on that is, success is perspective. What I see is going to be different than what you see. It's probably different than what the listener is seeing in their mind, and is wildly different than what our parents ever saw for us at this point in life, right? So when it comes to money and what did I do to kind of reshift that is I've done a whole boatload of personal work and really interior mindset shifts and focusing on the, just the little patterns of like, I deserve this, I deserve this, I deserve this. And that affirmation side of it, which is for some people kind of on the woo-woo part of life. But at the end of the day, if we want to get the results, sometimes we're going to have to subscribe to the woo-woo. We're going to have to get a little outside of our comfort zone so that we can get what we're truly looking for. So that's one of those things that I did is a lot of personal work. My wife and I also have some systems and processes in place where it's very strategic on what we're doing in our life and how we're choosing to live our life. Because again, we recognize that, 6 months ago, I had a $500,000 a year CMO position for a corporation that I chose to walk away from to go back all in on this Call the Damn Leads business. And the only way I was able to do that is because we've gotten smarter and put those systems in place of saying, okay, well, if we know our bills are X every month, then that's the bare minimum we have to have, plus an additional amount for food, laundry, all the extraneous. And we're very big givers. So one of the things that we're always focused on is where are we giving and can we make sure that we have enough to continue in that process? Because that's a whole part of the mindset of if you can give, you're basically saying to the universe, I'm willing to receive and that I have enough abundance that I'm okay, that I'm not in that scarcity state of mind so that you're operating with that. Because that's a whole, I'm sure we could go deep on that part too, Lisa. And I imagine that's something you've chatted about, but having the willingness to give, to be open to receiving is a big part of getting into that mindset and making that shift, because that's part of, okay, I can have some and I can give some. I don't have to give all of it. I can give a portion to where it makes me feel fulfilled, where it gives me joy and returns value. And it could be $10 to the homeless guy. It could be $10 to the, school. Right. It could be whatever brings you joy. It doesn't have to be what anyone else says. It's what are the things that bring you fulfillment and where are you investing it wisely? Because again, it can go into the business, but it's where do you want to spend it?
And I love that we're going to go ahead and go into that because I absolutely love that you said that, because this is important. And I'm sure Drewbie doesn't mean this either. He doesn't mean give money or donate money when you're just starting out and you're getting to the point of you're making the ends meet.
Correct.
And when you get to the point to where you've got a system in place and you're making those ends meet and you're paying yourselves and you're paying this money and then you're like, you know what? Okay, I've got a system in place. I know where I'm putting my money for this and this and this, and I know what I want to invest in. It's important to look back and look at it and say, okay, where do I want to give? Because he's right. When you freely give from the mindset of not, I'm spending money or, I'm giving away this money, but instead of, you know what? There's more. I'm going to be receiving more. I've got enough. I can pay what I need to pay. I can invest back in the business. I'm going to donate this. And you're letting the universe, whether you believe it's woo-woo or not, I believe what you focus on, you create more of.
Yes.
So when you give from the abundance mindset and not that lack, you're telling the universe, okay, you know what? I want to give back. I want more money so that I can do good in the world. And I really think it's important. And again, it doesn't have to be thousands of dollars. For the record, I didn't do thousands of dollars before when I first started. Matter of fact, my daughter, my oldest, who is autistic and has major depressive disorder, and the listeners and everybody knows I talk about it constantly because mental health is another thing that needs to stop being taboo. One of the things that she told me over the last few years was that K-Love, which is a radio station, and most of us probably have heard it, it's a Christian radio station. That's where she first heard her favorite singer sing, which is Lauren Daigle, sing You Say. And she swears that saved her life. And one of the things that struck with me is she said when they were doing their special where they're asking for donations to keep the radio on, she turns around and she looks at me and goes, Mommy, can we do it?
That's beautiful.
Right? Y'all, I started off $15 a month. But for me, it was something to give back to a company, a radio station who works off of donations. And it was also a gift in some ways to my daughter. And so my point to that is it doesn't have to be you donating thousands of dollars. If you want to donate thousands, great. As I grow and as I get, there's going to be women's shelters that I want to donate to. I have a friend who's very passionate about giving to the, it's the women trafficking. I don't know the actual organization, but again, that's one of the things that she's doing because she knows with the abundance, she said, okay, I can help people. I can make impact. I can make a change. And the key is doing it from that mindset of you're not losing money, you're giving money, and you're going to get even more back because of that.
You can even look at it if, you can go on to the woo-woo side of, hey, I'm just telling the universe I'm open to receiving. You can go on to, the more religious side of like you're tithing and you're basically planting seeds. And I don't know if you've ever done this, but you ever just throw one seed out the window and all of a sudden this huge bush springs from it. Well, that $1 could turn into something massive because it's not just the monetary value. It's the energy exchange that happens there. And when you give to someone, and my wife and I, we love to take care of like the service staff, waitresses and random people that like are just serving and just like, hey, you did an amazing job. Here's something for you. I used to be
a waitress, so.
And it's those individuals. I used to be a waitress. Yeah, it's those folks that are on the front line and they're doing the work and they're dealing with the general public, which I don't know if you've ever dealt with the general public. Mm-hmm. Obviously you have. It's not always fun. People are in their own...
We're not the nicest people.
People are in their own mood, their own head. They've got their own stuff going on. They've got their own money issues that they're working through. And so that's one of the ways we focus on giving is who can we pour into that's not about like reciprocation, not about like, oh, we just want to get the social media. No, we don't care about that. It's, hey, who can we do something for? Because we know there's an energy exchange. Mm-hmm. And when we leave, they're going to see that and they're going to get that rush of energy, that adrenaline, that dopamine. And those are the things that those chemical cocktails that push us into that next version, that push us to being better and feeling better. And then you never know who you exchange that energy. They go home, they get to take that good energy back to their kids now, and their kids get to have a better night, which means their kids go on to do something amazing. You don't know what that ripple effect can be from that exchange. And as you said, it doesn't have to be large amounts. It can be the smallest little thing that makes such a massive impact, like one little seed that starts the forest.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that I love about that too is, like you said, think outside the box. You know, I saw a TikTok that there was this lady, and how she gives back is she goes into the grocery store and she'll have $100 worth of 20s, and she folds them up and she finds random formula can containers, and she lifts it up and she puts a 20 under it, and then she leaves. Some random person, whether it's a single mom or a family, whatever, they're going to buy that formula and they're going to open it up and there's going to be a 20. And just imagine, yeah, 20 is not dollars, maybe not be a lot of money to some people. And I know when I was first having my children, that was a lot of money,
Heck yes,
period. Because that meant I could put gas in the vehicle or whatever. And so making that, to me, it's making an impact, a ripple effect. And that's the reason why I do it, because I'm like, you know, they playing a song did something for my daughter. If I'm able to donate money to where they're able to stay, and yes, sure, I'm not the only one. That's not the point. I'm part of the seed. Then how many more lives can they touch? How many more seeds are being thrown out there and planted and lives being touched that may not have been touched if not? And so that's just one of the things that I think is really important and the key, like you said, though, is from that abundance mindset and not that lack. Because when we have that lack, we have that block up. Let's talk about how money mindset affects our sales and our time management, because I think that as entrepreneurs, I don't think we realize how much it affects it. I know, and especially when we up level, because like I've been a wealth coach for 7 years, wealth coach / CFO. So for 7 years, and in the process of up leveling, life happens and the universe tests you, right? And the little gremlin comes up and goes, "Up, what are you doing? What are you making?" So all these little old stories come back. Trust me. And it's affected the sales, right? And I can say that and be honest, it's affected even getting leads, honestly. And I would love to actually talk about that, because that's something I've had to work on. Not shifting, because now I'm realizing I've had to go to a deeper layer and shed that layer and do even more, like a deeper mindset work. And so that's, I'd love to talk about how that affects the sales and the time management.
Yeah, this is really, it's a two-part answer. So if you'll bear with me, I'll kind of split it up, but this is really important because I want to start with the time management side. Time is our most valuable resource, right? So let's talk cash. Let's be serious. Time is the most valuable resource or asset that you have in your power. You can't buy it. You can't win it in a poker tournament. Nobody got a box full of it on Christmas. Your birthday card isn't going to have an extra 5 years tucked away in it. So like, let's just be very clear.
Why not?
I don't make the rules, Lisa. I'm just here to share my perspective on it, right? So here's something that happened to me along the way that really made me kind of dig deep on this. When I was an insurance producer, I was one of the top guys in my market, and I realized that for me to be able to generate and make more money, I needed to learn marketing, because if I could have more people to talk to, I could make more sales, because it's a numbers game. Talk to more people, close more sales, make more money. Sensical, right? That's logic. So as I started learning marketing, I had some success with it. Another woman that was in a Facebook community that I'm a part of saw that I was having some success, reached out and said, "Drew, how much for an hour of your time?" And I went, well, what a humbling question. Let me do some math. And I start doing the math, and it's like, all right, well, I make $1,500 salary plus my commissions are usually this, you know, so I'm making, let's see, $25 an hour. And at first I'm thinking in my head, well, that doesn't sound too bad, because growing up, I thought $10 an hour was like the most I would ever make, because I didn't, you know, I barely graduated. I was in the streets as a kid. So like, 25 didn't sound bad. But then I was thinking, well, you know, it's overtime, so that's time and a half. But if you worked on a holiday, or that's double time. So it's like, all right, well, Nancy, give me $50. She's like, how about I pay you $75? I'm like, well, I'd be a fool to say no to that. Of course. So I get on the call, have a conversation, and I'm flowing. I'm having a great time. You know, I'm coaching this lady, talking about things that just come naturally to me. We finish the call. She sends me a Venmo for $75. I screenshot it, send to my wife, and I go, babe, this is amazing. How do I do this every day? This is great. We'll be rich. Like, how do I do this all the time? And it really started me thinking, like, hold on a second. Because until I start to value my time, no one else is. Because here's the truth. Let's do some math. Listener, take whatever you made last year as a whole number, right? Your main gig, your side hustles, whatever weird internet things that you do to make money. Like, I'm not judging. I'm just saying, pull it all together and divide that number by 2,000. Because if you were a, quote, average person, which if you're listening to this podcast, you're not average because you're investing in yourself to get better. But let's just say if you were average, you'd work 2,000 hours a year, because that's 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year with a 2-week vacation. Paid, unpaid, that's up to you. I'm just saying. So if you made $100,000 last year and you divide that by 2,000, your time is worth $50 an hour. Again, that doesn't sound bad. However, if I'm your boss, scratch that. If I throw on my cloak and I'm deaf and I show up and I knock on your door and I say, hey, listen, I need you to come with me. Here's $100, here's $50. I need you for an hour. Let's roll. Lisa, what kind of response are you going to give me?
No.
And that's a kind response, right? We could use some expletives and some other things, but like, let's just be honest. You're going to say no, right?
I'm being nice. I'm being nice. I'm saying it the nice way.
Right. So, but at some point though, there is probably a number where you would consider and start to say, well, for 1 hour, I'm willing to do X, Y, Z, because I know with that money, here's the tool, here's the resource that it could be for the people in my life who matter. So like, let's not joke that there's not a value limit there somewhere. And so this is what I remind people. You can't just operate as if you have an unlimited amount of time, because there's no guarantee.
Because you don't.
We don't.
Right.
We get a certain amount of time every day that we're blessed with when we wake up, and how we spend it, who we spend it with, what we spend it on is what ultimately creates the life that we go on to live. And so from a time management perspective, if you want to make more money, you have two choices. You can work twice as much, or you can learn how to make yourself more valuable in the marketplace so that people will pay you more for your time to what it's truly worth. Because my guess is, if you're listening to this, you are worth more than you're giving yourself credit. And until you accept that and you make that the truth in your life and in your mind, no one else is going to treat it that way. And no one's going to respect your time until you respect it at the level it deserves to be respected at. And so to kind of circle back to the sales part of it is, if you're going into your life not confident about the kind of life that you're living, and you're showing up on a call and you're trying to convince someone that you're going to help them live the life that they want, but you're not in congruence with the life that you want to be living, do you think there's that same level of trust? Do you think they can feel some dissonance or maybe questioning, like, I don't know, they're saying it's going to get me what I want, but I'm just not feeling it? Have you ever had a conversation like that in sales where you're like, man, I'm crushing this call and it seems like they're interested, but I just can't get them to like step over the line. What's missing? Mm-hmm. It's because they're missing that level of trust. You don't have the same confidence that they need to have the confidence to make that decision. And it circles back to the money mindset. Are you selling from a place of lack, or are you selling from a place of abundance?
You've got it right.
Exactly.
There you go. Are you having the call from a place of lack or a place of abundance? Because one of the things that I noticed is, even when I was, and again, the least, but I realized as I was posting and I was promoting and selling, and I didn't mean to, And it happens, okay? Life happens. Life kind of throws you some curveballs. And before and I'm like, holy crap, I'm doing this from a lack.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what I want to do. I'm all about people first and making an impact. But I wasn't selling from that area or promoting and posting from that area. I was posting from a lack and, okay, I need to bring in more revenue. And when I was doing it from there, that was part of the lack, and it affects how everything is perceived. And so when someone said something to me and all of a sudden it clicked and I went, well, damn.
Thank you.
And I was like, okay. I was like, okay, so now I need to go and work on this and do some shifting so that it's not coming from a lack. And again, does it happen overnight? No. Anybody who tells you the shifts happen overnight, just like fad diets work and you'll lose weight forever. No. I've been working out with my trainer now for 6 years. I was over almost 200 pounds. I did not lose the weight overnight. I didn't become the fittest self, the most fit I am at the age of 50 overnight.
Come on.
That is 6 years of work in progress. And just the same way with the mindset and the shifts that I've had to make, it's a work in progress. And now for the last, couple of months, I'm also making those shifts and working on that and saying, okay, wait a minute, I'm coming from this lack. I need to change this. This isn't where I'm wanting to come from. Why am I coming from the lack? Okay, now I know why. What do I need to do to shift it so that it's fully shifted so that it's not coming from there anymore? So I really think that's important to know, is that it doesn't happen overnight. But the first thing is recognizing that you're doing it, right?
Yeah. You know what? It's one of those things for me that I have gone I'm an all-in kind of person. I don't know about you, Lisa, but I'm kind of one of those people, like when I'm in, I'm in. And so I've gone on this journey, right? I was over 300 pounds and I went on the weight loss journey to lose it. And then I got together with my, she was my girlfriend at the time, now wife. And it was like, all right, well, now I'm comfortable. So I'm not focused as much on the health and the fitness, but I'm more on my work side. And it got to a point where it was like, okay, well, hey man, I love you and we're making money, but actually I'm kind of like, we got to get ourselves together. We got a baby. We got this extra baby weight on. So I'm kind of curving back this way. And so one of the things that happened to me that really hit me the hardest and it helped me to this is how I decided to live a life by design, is on Christmas Eve in 2019, my beautiful wife handed me her wedding ring back and was like, listen, I love you. Your family loves you, but you're married to your job and we can't be here for you if you can't be here for us. And it really hit home because I was going, well, wait a second. Like, I'm working, I'm making more money than I'm ever made. Like, I'm in good shape. I don't understand. But what I had to come to realize is that I was in my own mind living a life in this future that I was building, this legacy that I was stating that I was creating. And even if I was in the room on the couch while they were watching a show, immensely I was somewhere else. I was checked out. And so what I had to realize is that, again, time management, boundaries. Have you ever been at the office and you're trying to work, but you're thinking about all the stuff you're supposed to be doing at home? And then you finish up the day and you get home, and as soon as you walk in the door, you immediately flip and go, shit, I didn't do this. I didn't call this guy. I was supposed to get this done. And so you're just in this weird crossover. And so at that point, I really had not just a literal slap in the face, but a metaphorical slap in the face of, okay, if you want to create a successful life, there are a few areas that matter. Sleep, number one, because I've been on a 48-hour, 72-hour bender. I don't know about you guys, but if you ever been that long into a bender, it's not pretty. You don't operate well. You have to sleep. So let's just put that out there. And then we always say that our family is first, right? Because we're always putting everybody first. Our family is our legacy. If you're listening to this, you probably don't have FU money to just live whatever and do whatever you want. So you have to go to work and have your business. And then we put ourselves last. We're selfless. We're givers. We're always going above and beyond to help everyone around us, which is great. And also, if you've ever gotten on an airplane, what's the first thing they tell you during the safety briefing? You have to put your
mask on first.
Come on, you know what I'm saying. And why? Because if you don't, you literally become a burden to everyone who's around you. So if you're living your life in this mentality...
It's one of the things I've had to learn. Yeah.
It's a hard one. It's a gut punch, right? But one of the things that really came to me on top of my wife hitting me was someone saying, hey, if you're working hard and you're making this money and you're not making the time to be in shape, how would it feel if you have to sit up in heaven and watch down as someone else lives the life that you should be living, raising your kid, sleeping in bed with your spouse? Like, how would that feel? Well, it doesn't feel like it would be a heaven to me. So if you're not treating your time as valuable, if you're not treating your time like $1,000 worth of cash or $10,000 worth of cash, and every time you're investing that minute, that 20 minutes, that hour, well, then this is why you're not living the life that you want to live. And if you're not making yourself a priority so that you can be developed, so that you can be in shape, so that you can be healthy, and you can have the kind of mindset that you need to show up for those people in your life who you care about, then none of it's going to matter. That's the plain truth.
Yeah.
You have to create this version, this boundary so that you can have what you want, and then you have to be willing to go and do the work. You have to call the damn leads so that you can go and crush the day before it crushes you, because you and I know, Lisa, as soon as you wake up, social media, the news, clients that want to cancel, this, that, whatever, there's always something that's popping up. So you got to show up ready to go to war with the day, because it will crush you real quick if you're not ready to go and crush it.
Yeah. And the turning point for me, and just another way to look at it, is my first year in business. So I started my business in 2016. So the first full year in 2017, my word was focus. And growth. And I mean, I wanted to grow the business. I had no desire to go back to corporate. The business needed to grow so that I could support my kids and me, right? So it was growth, and it did. It grew to a point of I was no longer taking care of myself. And someone, I don't know where it was, but somebody said something, and it was like, it reminded me, and she actually said it to me. She said, what good are you to your daughters who are special needs, to your oldest who's autistic and has the major depressive disorder, if you are not taking care of yourself mentally and physically? Oof. If you don't have the energy, and how are you going to be there for her? And it was like, it was a light bulb, and I didn't have the energy to get up off the floor with my youngest. And I had my two very late in life. Like, my first one was right before I turned 30. Heather, my youngest, was right before I turned 38. So I now have a 12-year-old. And when I started working out and started looking at my health, this was 6 years ago. So she was, 6? And it was just, okay, I can't get up and off the floor without feeling out of breath and just no energy. What good am I going to be to her and to my oldest? And so that was when there was a shift. So 2018, my word was focus. It was focus on my health and my fitness. And when I did that, something amazing happened. Right before the end of the year, the first part of my business was different than what it is now. There were clients left. There was like a turnover type thing. And all of a sudden, the mindset was bad. And that was when I really realized, okay, wait a minute, what's going on? Why I made all this money, why I don't have money? And that's when I really dug into the mindset, the money stories, and all of that, right? When I started doing that and taking care of my mental health, my mindset, and my physical health, the business exploded. No shit. It exploded. And I'm convinced, which is the reason why I came up with the 5 wealth codes. I'm convinced that your body is one of those wealth codes, and that means taking care of your physical health, your mental health, your mindset. Because when you don't take care of those, how can you take care of anybody else, including your clients, your family, your spouse, your children? The answer is you can't. And just like Drew said, what's the first thing they say on the airplane? Put the mask on first before you put it on even your kids. You can't do anything until you put it on yourself first. And they tell you no matter what to put it on yourself first, even before your children. And that's because if you're not okay, you can't help them be okay. And I think that's really important. And we have to look at it from a way of it's not being greedy, it's not being selfish. We're making sure we're taking care of us so that we can be the best entrepreneurs and we can help our clients the best and our family. What's one of the things that you did to help shift that as far as with the sales and the time management? Was it the boundaries, like setting a boundary? And how do you go about that? How do you go about crushing your day money mindset wise, okay, before the day crushes you?
Beautiful question. And clearly we are kindred spirits. So I'm so grateful that we had the opportunity to be here today.
I know,
this is
right?
so fun. So here's a little a trick or a tip that the listener can use. And this may even be valuable for you, Lisa. But when was the last time you did a time study and actually looked at what you're doing on a daily basis? And so what I always do with my clients, and this is an easy way to help them, because, when you're in sales, the first thing that you want to do is help people get their money at a discount or get their time back, because the time is the thing that they can't really buy, right? You can, but it's different conversation. So the point is, I like to come in and look at it and say, okay, at the top of every hour on the hour for the next 2 weeks, I want you to keep a journal of everything that you did from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to sleep. And you can do this in 5-minute blocks, 10-minute blocks. I met one guy, he did it in a 1-minute increment. He actually had like VAs follow him around and like a media team.
Oh, dear God.
It was, yeah. Now, granted, he's also a fitness guy and like counts his food to the grams because he's very, very, like, that's his details. But again, it doesn't have to be that crazy. Just at the top of every hour, write down in a little notebook, what did you do that hour? I brushed my teeth. I made breakfast. I had coffee. I drove to work. I found myself scrolling YouTube for 10 minutes. I was on Instagram. I, was in the bathroom. Really start taking notes and be intentional and be serious. Don't let yourself slip. Be honest with yourself about this. And what's going to happen is within the first 2 to 3 days, you're going to realize how much time you're wasting. First and foremost, you're going to be like, oh, okay, well, I say that I don't have time to go to the gym, but I spent 30 minutes scrolling YouTube throughout the day. So I could have definitely taken and found 15 minutes to do a high intensity YouTube yoga thing or whatever. Like, again, you'll start to find time that you realize you were wasting. And what I do at the end of this, if you go all the way to the 2 weeks, is then you start breaking it down into those 4 areas of life that matter. All right, well, how much time did you spend sleeping? How much time did you spend doing things for yourself? How much time did you spend doing things for your family? And then how much time did you spend working on your business? Because if you want to live a, quote, balanced life, which again, balance is kind of BS. That's a balance scale, read 0. So nobody hears a 0. However, if you want, quote, balance, because again, we know that that's a big buzzword. There's 24 hours in a day. There's 4 areas of life that are important. 24 divided by 4 is 6. So if I spent 6 hours sleeping, 6 hours on my business, 6 hours on myself, and 6 hours on my family, that's a 24-hour day, and that's about as balanced as it's going to get. So now you can start looking at your calendar and playing Tetris and saying, okay, well, I'm going to wake up at this time every day. And with that first 30 minutes, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And then from this time to this time, I'm going to do this. From this time to this time, I'm going to do this. And I realize that somebody's listening to this going, well, I can't operate that way. My life would never dictate to... Listen. That's why you're living the life that you're living, because you're letting everybody else tell you how you should run your life. If you set these boundaries and you say, like for me personally, my alarm goes off at 4 o'clock every single day, 7 days a week. Now, am I getting up at 4 a.m. 7 days a week? Not always.
You're crazy.
But
okay. You're crazy.
More times than not, I do. Here's why, though. Because that first 2 hours of the day, that's for me. I get up at 4. I drink a big glass of ice water, I read, I meditate, I do my, my prayers. And then again, I used to be over 300 pounds, so I know that I don't want to work out. The first thing I'm going to do every day is work out because I know that's the thing that I need to do, because as soon as that's done, I feel so much more accomplished. And guess what? By 6:30 a.m., I've already read, meditated, worked on myself, and I've got that adrenaline and dopamine running, and I'm feeling pretty daggum good. So by the time my competition is just getting out of bed and starting their day, I've already won. I've already crushed the thing that I didn't want to do. So guess how I feel? confident and ready to move into the next thing. So that at 6:30, when my family starts getting up and I'm helping them start their day, my wife and I can have coffee. My son and I can have breakfast together. We can have a real family experience. During the week, one of my non-negotiables is I drive 20 minutes out of the way to drop my son off at school and drive 20 minutes back home. Is it a waste of time? Depends on how you look at it. To me, that's time he will remember forever, to the point where he'll be 35, 40 years old telling his kids, my dad used to drive me to school every morning. We would sing our hearts out. We would talk about dude stuff, and we would really build that relationship. It's a non-negotiable to me. That time cannot be bought unless I know there's a value exchange that makes it make sense. And this is what you can do. As you start breaking it down, what's a $10 an hour job? What's a $100 an hour job? What's a $1,000 an hour job? And what's a $10,000 an hour job? And then you can start picking and choosing what jobs you're not going to do anymore, because you know if you go spend your time in the $100 an hour bucket, paperwork, mowing the grass, laundry, whatever little $10 an hour job that you want to delegate, guess what you can do? You can now hire 3 people to go do those tasks. And you can spend your time in the $100 an hour bucket. And guess what? You've given 3 people opportunity to better their life, and you're still making $70 an hour. Like, you seeing where I'm going with this? It's just math. It's just stacking this stuff together, but it's being intentional with your time so that you can live the life you want to live.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's something else that you don't I'm going to say it. He may not say it, but I'm going to say it. You don't have to get up at 4 a.m. Okay. I get up at 5:15 to 5:30 a.m.
Yes.
4 o'clock, he's insane. Not happening.
Of course.
More power to him, but he's still crazy. 5:15 to 5:30 is when I get up. And I do that because the first thing I do, I pick out my workout clothes the night before. They're laid out. That's what I put on. I have my breakfast. I have my cup of tea. I journal. And then I start getting my daughter up, get her ready. Then normally I have time to go ahead and put a load of laundry into the washing machine. So I'm doing that while she's pitter-pattering, eating her breakfast, me reminding her to keep eating her breakfast and not get ADHD zoned out or whatever. And then we leave the house at 7:15 because she's a social butterfly now. And so she needs to be at the school as soon as the doors open.
My son's the same way.
Which I find hilarious.
Same way.
I find it so hilarious. So we leave at 7:15 so that we can get there by 7:40. And because I did school choice, we have to take her. We get to take her. So there is no bus, which is fine. That's time, like you said, that we listen to music. She plugs her phone in and we listen to her music. She has a mom playlist apparently, which
we have a playlist.
Some of the songs on there is blowing my.
I understand.
I know, but she calls it Mom's Playlist, and we need to discuss some of the songs on there that she thinks are my playlist. And we rock it out. We listen to the songs, and we get there normally a few minutes early. She finishes her song. She takes her things out. She gets out and she leaves. My oldest is in the back during that time. She gets in the front. That's 9 out of 10 times. She's either going to play her songs or she's going to put on K-Love. We drive back and we get home about 8 o'clock. So normally the washing machine's done. I can put the stuff back into the dryer, and I work out from home. So at that time, I then start pulling my stuff out, setting my stuff up, because my trainer is in Mexico and I do it all online.
Yep.
And I love it. I don't like gyms. I hate gyms. The time that it takes to get there. And then if it's rainy or cold, Lisa's not going. Lisa's not going. Lisa knows she's not going to go. I don't care. I'm not going.
We built a commercial garage gym.
Because I know that, and I know I need the accountability, which is why I have a fitness coach / trainer to hold me accountable, because otherwise, if it was up to me, I don't feel good. I'm not working out. And again, I'm like you. I don't like working out. So I do it my first thing in the morning. Okay. I'm not going to do it. I was doing it when I was getting my daughter ready for school, and it became too much.
Hard to keep her accountable and do your thing.
Moved it back to do it. Yes, it was for me to focus on my workout and get her, to get her thing and get her stuff together. Oh, it just became a disaster. So the point, though, is what he's getting at is having the specific thing. Now, can I probably look at my time and see where there's some time wasted? Oh, yeah, most definitely. Like, as you were going through it, I was like, well, damn.
And I'm not perfect, so I will say that first and foremost. I'm not perfect, so just get that out
exactly.
there.
and here's the other thing, though. If I decide that's how I want to spend the time, then it's not quote unquote wasted.
Correct.
Because yesterday I made the decision. Yesterday afternoon, I was done. I recorded 2 episodes, and then I spent the rest of the evening. No, actually, it wasn't yesterday. It was Thursday. Thursday, I was done for the day, and I vegged. I sat on the couch. I read a book, and I watched 2 hours of TV. And I don't watch a lot of TV, but I purposely decided I was vegging out on TV. That's what I wanted. That's what I needed. It was my mental health. So therefore, it's not quote unquote wasted time. I think the listeners, what you should get from it is being intentional and knowing where you're putting the time. Because that's the same thing I say about money is know where your money is going. Where are you putting your money? Be intentional and know where it's going. And since time is related to you getting your sales and getting money, you need to know where your time is going as well. And so now I'm going to have to go and start looking at where some of my time is going.
You're welcome.
And see where thank you. And see where some of it may be skipping or not skipping through, but sliding through the cracks and I'm letting it not be intentional and not knowing where it goes. So I think that's really important. What is some of the things you did as far as shifting in your sales, with the mindset for your sales?
Number one thing that you have to remember when you're in sales is you can't sell out of your own pocket. So whatever cash deals, things that you're going through in your own life, whatever like perspective you have on a dollar amount, that means nothing to the other individual. You should not let your bias play in any way, shape, or form how you deliver when you're making a sale, because they can feel that. So if you're telling someone, hey man, this is going to be 10 grand, the way you deliver it is going to make a big difference. Because if I come in and I say, cool, Lisa, here's what you're telling me you would like. This is exactly the process we're going to go through. Here's what's going to happen. It's going to be $10,000. Sign here, make a deposit, blah, blah, blah. You're going to go, okay. But if I go, all right, Lisa, well, I've done everything I can, and I've really worked this out, and the best we can do is going to be about $10,000. Like, is that going to be an issue? All of a sudden, like, there's a lot of ways that can go, but somebody might hear, like, first of all, who are you to add, like, no, that's not an issue. Like, what's wrong with you? Or it could be like, well, I don't know, maybe it is an issue. Maybe I should be thinking about this before I make that decision. And now they're going to go, well, you know what? Let me go back and speak to my spouse. Let me go back and think this through. Because you've given them a reason to go and think it through now, because they're questioning the decision versus you confidently being able to say, yep, it's going to be $10,000. How would you like to pay for that? Visa, check, MasterCard, wire, what works best for you? Not selling out of your own pocket, I think, is one of the first things that I really teach new sales professionals, especially when they're getting into something that is a higher ticket sale, right? $1,000, $5,000, like roofing, especially young kids. Like, I've never spent $3,000, especially coaching too. I don't know if you've ever dealt with this where, in the coaching world, when you're, hey, I'm going to need you to invest X amount of dollars in yourself. It's not just paying me, but it's in yourself. You have to be confident to deliver that. And what I've known is there's some coaches out there that are selling packages for numbers that they've never actually spent or invested in for themselves. And so there's this weird dissonance and this weird disconnect of like, congruence. So when you show up, you sell. Whether you've made a $5,000 sale before in your life or not, yep, this is what it's going to cost you. Smile, take the paycheck, and move on.
Yeah. And don't make it about you when it's a no.
Oh, that's good.
I think that's really important too.
You know what? We can get into that. I like that. Go ahead.
I used to make it about me. Because that worthy thing comes up, that and it's a lack. Hello. But when you get a no, it doesn't mean shit about you. It's not about you. The no's a no. And I'm going to be honest, with the up leveling I've been doing, I actually said this to my coach. I told him that I would much rather have the leads and have the calls and they be all no's, because at least then I was having the calls. And he looked at me and he went, that's the perspective you need to keep having, that you want the calls, because I believe, and I have found the hard way, I realized the hard way or long way when I first started my business, the more no's you have, the closer you get to a yes.
There's so much to that.
And people go, how do you know? It's just true.
Well, it's a law of large numbers.
It's true. It's just true.
I mean, even a blind squirrel finds the nut now and then.
It's just true.
But the real thing is I love about that is when you look at it, okay, let's just say if you get 100 no's in a row, well, now you have something that you can measure against. Say, okay, well, let's look back over those 100 conversations. What did I say? Did I say it the same way every time? Did I use the same inflection? Did I ask the same questions? Was every lead the same kind of person, or did they have different personality types? Did they have different buying patterns? Did they have different decision-making strategies? Like when you start thinking about this, if you got 100 no's, you've got 100 opportunities to learn. Because if all you ever got was a yes, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to really learn anything. You're just going to be one of those people that's like in life that floats through life.
Not only that, right.
So go ahead.
And not only that, but you're also going to take clients that aren't in alignment.
Facts.
If you're getting nothing but yeses, and then you're just going to burn yourself out because hello, learn that too. And here's the thing is one of the other things that I looked at was I coming from a place of alignment and my heart? Mm-hmm. Or was it from, like you said, how was I talking to them? And again, it's a learning point. I'm going to tell you, people that say no, yes, it can come back later and be a yes. I don't look at it that way. It's a no. Okay. What can I learn from it? What can I do differently? Or was it just a no because they're not there yet? As a wealth coach and a CFO, a lot of people balk at the investment that we ask for. And it's still the investment I'm going to ask for.
Yep.
I point blank, like my one-on-one is a high-end, high touch. They have access to me more so than most people. And I do that because it's women and they're changing the way they manage their money and look at their money. And they're having to learn to trust someone to help them strategize. And because it's the wealth coach and the CFO in one, which now you're getting the wealth coach with the mindset and you're getting the CFO with the strategy. And my team, if you ask my team to also help with your books, that's another piece you're adding on. So that is another add-on. I made the mistake of not having that added on for a while, and Lisa has corrected that.
Yep.
Thanks to my current coach. They're like, no.
Hold up. What are you doing?
And right? I know, right? And it's recognizing that when you make the investment, you're investing in someone who can help you get further, right? Faster. And it's because they've been there, they've done it. They know. Like, Drew, you've been there. You've done all these things with not having the leads and not calling the leads or whatever. And you in the sales, and you've been there with the overweight and all that. So you're able to help your clients figure out, okay, where are the leads and call the leads and how to do it better so that they're getting from the no's to the yeses, right? Do you ever see that there's that lack of money mindset in that process as well?
Yep. One of the things that I always like to do when I'm having a conversation with a prospective client, because I'm like you, I don't take everybody with a credit card and a pulse. That's a recipe for disaster. So one of the things I like to take them through is that time study and that audit. Well, okay, how much is your time worth currently? And I'll write that down, $100 an hour. Okay, cool, $100 an hour. Fantastic. So I get to the end of the call. I deliver my spiel. Here's what this looks like. Here's the expectations. Like you, I have a group program. I have one-on-one. So if you need more of that personal touch, it's available at a cost because my time is very valuable. But I always tell people at the end of the call, it's like, okay, cool. So we know right now your time is worth $100 an hour. And I know working together based on our conversation and my math and all the people I've worked with over, the last 10 years of doing this, I'm confident that I can help you find an additional 5 hours every week to reinvest into your life, which if we're just doing math at $100 an hour, that's 500 a week times 52 weeks. What's that math out to? 25 grand. All right. So right now, just kind of riffing based on this conversation, if you invest $10,000 to work with me, I'm going to be able to help you find $25,000 in your life if you only are worth that $100 an hour, which we also know that working together and developing the strategies and the skill sets mean that your time is going to multiply and be worth more as we cruise along. So what happens when your time is now worth $500 an hour and you've got that 5 hours a week back? What's that going to be worth? What's the exponential return? Because you're not hiring me for the money. You're hiring me to get your time back at a discount so that while, yes, you could go and you could learn all of this on YouTube and you could find all of these things on Google, it might take you 18 months. Whereas working together, we can compress that down to 6 months. So what's that 12 months worth of time exponentially worth to you? Is it worth more than 10 grand?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I guess when you put it that way, that makes sense. You're right. Credit card.
Yeah.
Wire,
and what my coaches, right, exactly. And one of the things that I've learned too, and I now, I say to my potential clients is, you're not paying me just for my time. You're paying me for my expertise, and you're paying me and working with me for the results that you're going to get from working with me years beyond us no longer working together.
The best coach shouldn't be a coach forever. They should work with you until the problem is solved and let you move on.
If we work together a year to 2 years, okay, and then after, how much money am I going to save you after that? Now, I'm slightly different because I'm a CFO for some of my clients as well. So I have some that do stay on longer than a couple of years in more of the CFO capacity. I was going to say
that's more tactical versus the strategy.
Right, right. And you're still paying me for my expertise to help you with the strategy part. You're paying for me to still help you save money, be more strategical with your money, because as one of my coaches say it, and I love this, they're inside the pickle jar and they can't see. And because I'm sitting outside the pickle jar, I can see what's possible, and then I can make suggestions. And what happens is all of a sudden it becomes clearer for them, and then they're able to move forward much quicker instead of being stuck or getting in the lack and then all of a sudden freezing and not moving. And again, how much money is that worth? How much time do I save you? How much money do I save you now and years from now? That's what you're paying me for. That's what you're investing in. And when we change how it is, it's not just for, I have one person who said, oh, but I only meet with you 2 hours a month. You're charging that. Okay. You're not paying me just for the 2 hour calls. That's not what this is. And so you have to be able to flip it. And again, I knew then that person was a no. Even if she'd have said yes, she was a no, because they weren't going to do the work that was necessary to be done, because there was a lack on their end, and it was so far of a lack that they weren't going to be they weren't ready to do the shift that was going to need to be done with their mindset. And I think that's important too, is that you have to be ready to make that shift, right? I mean, you have to realize it's not going to happen overnight, and you have to be willing to do the work, because it's not something that, I'm sure you're going to agree, Drew, it's not something you can fix for them if they just say, okay, fix it, you do all the work, and they not do anything.
I have been dealing with this so much, and I hate to even have to say this, but if you're listening and you're trying to delegate the work, you're not in a financial place to afford to be able to delegate all the work just yet. Like, you don't get to just hang out on the chair like a cherub and have someone feed you grapes and live your life like a slob. Like, that's not how this works. I'm sorry. You got to do some work. I can give you the blueprint. I can give you the cell phone. I can literally dial the phone and hand it to you as it's ringing, but I cannot have the conversation for you. unless I'm taking 99.9% of the income that comes from it too. Because if I got to do everything, then I'm taking the bulk of the money too.
Right. Right. And we can't shift your mindset for you. We can tell you how. Mm-hmm. We can work with you on how, but we can't shift that mindset for you. It's just like when I tell my clients, I help you shift your mindset. I help you change your money story, and I help you build a money roadmap that works for you.
Come on.
I help. We do it together. I don't do it for you, because if you're not in it and seeing it and building it with me, then nothing's going to shift. And if you're not to the point of being ready, like even you can be scared. It's okay to be scared, but if you're not ready to make that shift, then the shift isn't going to happen, and it doesn't matter what I do. And so that's really important. You have to be at that point to make the shift. Drew, thank you so much for being on the show. And listeners, what I want you to get from this is money mindset affects your time management. It affects the way you do sales, which affects the money you're bringing in. And so there are things that you need to look at and that you can look at to say, okay, how can I shift how I'm spending my time to bring in more money? And do I need to look, am I doing it from a lack? And if I am, okay, why? And how do I change that? And I think those are just really, really important things. And crush the day before it crushes you. Oh, I just love that. I absolutely love that. Drew, can you please tell our listeners what the offer is that you are offering them, and the link will be in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Lisa, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here and share with you. Like, this has been one of my favorite episodes that I've had the chance of doing recently. So thank you for this opportunity. And thank you again to the listener for investing your time. I mean, we're almost an hour, maybe even an hour into this at this point. So if you're here with us still, it has been an honor, and we're so grateful for you to be here. With that said, I do have an offer for you. I wrote a book called The Damn Leads: From Clicks to Contracts, Revolutionizing Sales in the Digital Era, because at this point, sales has shifted, things are different, and I've been blessed enough to be able to do a little over $15 million in sales online at about a $5,000 ticket. So I've done a lot of sales over the last couple of years, and I basically laid out everything that has worked well for me and helped me be successful. Time management, the time is money mindset, sales and follow-up processes, systems, routines, things that you can take that have helped me make a whole boatload of money and implement into your life and your routine very simply. And if you're interested in learning that, you can go to callthedamnleads.com/free book offer. All you got to do is send me your email address. I'll send you a PDF copy of the book. It's none of that free plus shipping nonsense. It's, you want to read, I want to help. I'll send you a PDF version of it. Take a look. And the beautiful thing is, while you're on the website, and Lisa, this is just as much for you as a listener, but if you go to the Get Motivated section, I actually have a podcast called Crushing the Day with 895 short episodes that you can go and listen to. Little motivational quotes and anecdotes from my life and journey that can help you get excited and get motivated to get out there and crush the day, so that you can go call those damn leads, make the kind of money that you need to make to go live the life that you want to live. Because at the end of the day, that's what you deserve. You are here on this planet. You've been blessed to go and live life that you want to live. So now it's just time to be intentional and go live it.
Absolutely. Until next time, my sassy friend, remember, stay sassy. Bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on Cash and Sass. Check us out on social media and on our website at www.thesassywealthcoach.com, where you can download my free Money Story Start Guide. The website again is www.thesassywealthcoach.com. And as always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. And remember, yes, it is possible to have sassy and sexy money. See you next week.